It's the first Monday in 2021, and with it comes the start of our annual Year in Review feature series. From today until January 26, we'll bring you highlights of the activities in the various ministries, departments and agencies of government, starting with the Office of the Prime Minister. Also on today's show, we celebrate World Braille Day. We have a lot lined up for you, so let's kick things off with a word of advice, followed by the news.
Recover with integrity. Recover with integrity. We should all work together. One aim, one vision. In the fight against corruption, there is no division. United with the Integrity Commission. Let's stand up and make a healthy decision that we will not turn a blind eye. We will not lead secret lives. We will not accept no bribes. We will not push values aside.
A message from the Integrity Commission.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, January 4, 2021. Government has extended the travel ban on flights coming in-country from the United Kingdom until Sunday, January 31. The ban is also in effect for all non-Jamaicans seeking to enter the island through another country, but who have been in the UK within 14 days prior to their intended arrival in Jamaica. According to a statement from the Office of the Prime Minister, persons who fall in this category will be tested and placed in state quarantine for a minimum of 48 hours until the results are returned. If negative, they will be allowed to transfer to home quarantine to complete the 14-day mandatory quarantine period. If positive, they will be transferred to isolation at a location that is approved by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry will continue to work with the various airlines to support the repatriation of UK residents who are in the island and who wish to return to their country. Cargo flights from the United Kingdom will continue to be exempted from the travel ban. The Jamaica House statement reiterates that Jamaicans are strongly advised not to travel to the UK at this time due to an outbreak of the new variant strain of COVID-19 in that nation. Those who travel overseas, including the UK, will be subject to the established quarantine or isolation procedures on their return to Jamaica.
This is in an effort to provide the public health with an opportunity to gather more information on the implications of this new strain, as well as to assess the country's capacity to treat with the challenges that may arise.
In the meantime, 4 passengers on the recent United Kingdom flight to Jamaica have tested positive for the new variant strain of COVID-19 thought to spread more easily. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton announced the results of testing by Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPA, during a virtual press briefing on Saturday. They are among the 20 persons who tested positive after all passengers from the December 21 flight were quarantined and tested immediately upon their arrival in Jamaica. The flight was already en route to Jamaica the same day government's restrictions on flights from the UK came into effect due to an outbreak of the new COVID-19 strain there. During Saturday's press briefing, Dr. Tufton also revealed that the first day of 2021 had a COVID-19 positivity rate of 23%, which represents the highest positivity rate over the past 8 weeks.
This is very concerning to us. You will recall that based on the assessment of public health and as a result of the increased movement in the population due to international travel and the celebrations for the Yuletide season, there is an anticipation, as we had said, of a spike in the number of cases for the month of January. While it is early days yet, the trends are showing an uptick in the number of cases being reported, especially, and this is something we said just prior to Christmas, but especially in the western end of the island.
Dr. Tufton says Westmoreland, with 690 cases, is of great concern to the government. The country has now recorded over 13,000 COVID-19 cases, 154 of them within the last 24 hours. 10,973 are recoveries, while 1,766 are active cases. Meanwhile, government has announced that more Jamaicans will receive the COVID-19 vaccine once it becomes available in the country. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie says the number of Jamaicans to be vaccinated in the second quarter of the year has increased from 1% of the population to 5%. She says overall 16% of the population will this year receive the vaccine, which is being made available through COVID-19 Global Access Facility, COVAX. Dr. Bisesa McKenzie says Jamaicans can be assured that the vaccine that will be approved for use in the country will be safe.
I want to reassure the public that once the vaccines have been approved and they have been investigated and we have seen the result of the trials, that once they are approved for use in Jamaica, you're going to have a safe vaccine that is effective, and we want to really put our confidence in that because it is very, very important that especially our vulnerable population be vaccinated as quick as we can get the vaccines here. We want to ensure that all persons over the age of 60 are vaccinated.
Jamaica is among the CARICOM member states on whose behalf CARPA has made a down payment for equitable access to a safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine. In other COVID news, the field hospitals being erected on the grounds of the Falmouth Public General Hospital in Trelawney and at St. Joseph's Hospital and Medical Center in Kingston are expected to be completed by the end of January. The two 36-bed facilities are being built at a cost of approximately $199 million by Rogers Land Development Limited.
Falmouth and St. Joseph, both field hospitals had significant delays because of the weather and because of the nature of the material and the work that was being done. We were not able to proceed on the implementation until the weather changed. And so we are very certain, we have been given assurances, barring force majeure, that we will be able to complete by the end of January.
They are among 4 field hospitals being established across the island to provide 152 additional bed spaces for the treatment of persons with COVID-19. In addition to the 40-bed field hospital that has already been set up at the National Chest Hospital in the corporate area, a 40-bed facility will be based at the Mandeville Regional Hospital in Manchester. And finally, the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information will be delivering special learning interventions to assist students preparing for their exit exams this year. Portfolio Minister Favour Williams made the announcement during her back-to-school message Sunday night. She says students will have fully funded access to edufocal and one-on-one educational services in preparation for CSEC, City and Guilds, CAPE, NC-TVET, and the Primary Exit Profile, PEP.
Additionally, a mobile student support initiative will be launched on January 18, 2021, to focus on the students who have not been consistently engaged in the last school term. We will be providing after-school classes to small groups of 5 for 2 hours twice per week using the schools, church halls, community centers, USF community access points, the Jamaica Library Service locations, and other temporary learning spaces.
She says the ministry will also be launching the Learning Kit Challenger and a Learning Kit Motivator to benefit students performing below expectation. Teachers will receive assistance to develop and utilize personalized lessons. Grade 6 students at the primary level are scheduled to sit the first component of the PEP exam, the ability test, on February 23. The performance task and curriculum-based tests will be administered in May. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
If I cancel them you off, make sure you gon' get them done. That is how we are go trace them, identify them, tag it and trace it. Prevent disease from spreading, your health is worth defending. Tag it and trace it. You never think fi hide, tag them with pride. Put the coat even out the style. Tag it and trace it. A message from the Agricultural Competitiveness Program of the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries.
Revised National Identification System Bill tabled. HOPE program expanded, and NHT delivering 1,045 housing solutions. Just some of the major achievements at the Office of the Prime Minister in 2020. The details are next.
I, Andrew Michael Holness.
With a 49-14 seat victory at the polls, the Prime Minister secured a second term in office. Mr. Holness executed his new mandate through a 19-member cabinet that included ministers without portfolio Everald Warmington and Senator Aubin Hill. They assisted Mr. Holness, who retained ministerial responsibility for defense and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.
As a government, despite COVID-19, we remain committed to making this the decade of growth for Jamaica to anchor our peace, prosperity, and resilience.
2020 kick-started that agenda, providing an opportunity to fast-track the state's plans and programs for Jamaica's transformation into a digital society. In January, the cabinet transitioned to a paperless system. The National Public Key Infrastructure Project to secure the population's online transactions was launched, and a new National Identification and Registration Bill was completed.
I'm confident in our plan to secure Jamaica.
In 2020, states of emergency were declared and extended for police divisions in Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. They were complemented by zones of special operations in August Town and Greenwich Town. The Jamaica Defence Force secured sea, air, and cyber equipment and benefited from a new $3.8 million Cannonball Gate entrance.
The returns on the unprecedented investments in the security apparatus already made is bearing fruit, and more gains will be realized in the coming years.
A National Consensus on Crime Memorandum of Understanding was signed with the parliamentary opposition.
We will overcome the threat, and so there is no need for panic and savagery and baseless behavior.
Jamaica's National Disaster Risk Management Mechanism kicked into higher gear in 2020. A comprehensive COVID-19 control plan was implemented. Funds were reallocated and measures actioned to contain the spread of the virus.
We ask that you follow the protocols that have been established for personal care and hygiene. Housing solutions are being proposed for the parishes of Hanover, St. Thomas, Portland, Westmoreland, St. James, and St. Elizabeth.
200 keys were delivered under Phase 1 of the Silverson Estates at Innswood, St. Catherine. The National Housing Trust paid $140 million to secure land for a new housing development at Colbeck Plantation in St. Catherine. Mortgages impacted by COVID-19 were buffered by the NHT.
Effective immediately, mortgagors who are laid off can apply for a moratorium on all loan payments for 3 months in the first instance.
Mortgagors are also allowed to extend the tenure of their loan or reduce their interest rates. As of April 1, intergenerational mortgages can access houses on the open market as well as construction loans. Persons over 65 years may now make voluntary contributions to the NHT to access housing benefits up to age 70.
Effective April 1, 2020, reduce interest rates on all new loans by 1%. We are also giving a reduction of 0.5% on all existing loans. The interest rate discounts currently offered to special groups, such as mortgagors aged 55 years and over, the disabled as well as public sector workers, will continue.
And the trust disbursed $450 million to the police station upgrade program. The HOPE program was expanded in 2020 through a partnership with the private sector. A HOPE volunteer project was launched. The new social housing aspect of HOPE provided homes in St. Catherine, St. Mary, Clarendon, and St. Elizabeth. The program struck up a partnership for the training of participants as agriculture aides, and $1 million agreement was signed to provide housing for homeless at-risk youth. 2020 also saw the second cohort of the Jamaica House Fellowship Program taking up their 2-year paid internship with the government. And even greater opportunities were afforded to youth, with the opening of the $500 million Jamaica National Service Corps complex at Up Park Camp. 2020, the Urban Development Corporation received the final plans for the $50 million Houses of Parliament project. The Jamaica Social Investment Fund started work on the $950 million Port Royal Street Coastal Revetment Program, and 70,000 Jamaicans started benefiting from Phase 2 of the $40 million Rural Economic Development Initiative.
We have to make this the decade when Jamaica take off.
$50 million Biggie program launched. Great infrastructure development project gets underway, and thousands of Jamaicans gain access to water. Just some of the major achievements within the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation in 2020. Get the details of this plus so much more as we review the activities in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation on January 5, 2021. That's the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation's 2020 Year in Review, right here on this station.
It's oftentimes said that communication is the key to success in relationships, work, and life. This is true whether you communicate with your voice, actions, or fingers, like those who connect with others through Braille. As we celebrate World Braille Day, we highlight the strength of retired educator Dr. Hicksel Douglas.
I think I realized that I had a vision impairment maybe in my early childhood schooling when I attended basic school in Stony Hill and realized that I was quite different from all the other youngsters. It has its own range of effects. There are psychological and social effects. You start wondering if you are different and how different you are. And then you realize too that your pattern of interaction with students and with adults was different. People were always a little tiptoeing around, not wanting to say certain things. And during early childhood primary education, I experienced a lot of failure as a consequence of the vision impairment. And that, I am sure, shattered my self-esteem in those early days. I think as I got older, then there were other issues about the whole business of denial and going through anger periods, and till I get to the point where I finally accepted the idea, which was way up until I was probably about 2021. I currently am retired from Ministry of Education as an education officer. But since retirement, I have been doing a lot of workshops and seminars involved in a number of issues, looking at change management concerns, special education concerns, and perhaps a part of the passion, looking at boys' education. I discovered that the boys were considered to be the troublesome ones. And a lot of people were concerned about the behavior because it was impacting their learning. I use a lot of unconventional ways to try and get the boys to learn, getting them involved in practical, active kind of learning situations, and found that it worked a great deal. But I also found out that if you respect them and you treat them well, no matter how offensive they may be, you can reach them, you can teach them, and you may even preach to them. So currently I've now expanded that to even start working with some boys, looking at boys on a mission. A colleague told me about that, so if they're on a mission, then we want them to show interest, to do their best, to pass their tests, and in the end, to big up them chests.
dots 1 and 2, right? So you press that.
One of the things that I have learned as a person with a vision impairment, and the lessons I would want to share with other persons who have vision impairment, especially children, is that perhaps the most important thing is self-determination. Having the ability and the capacity and the drive to go and to do the things that you want to do in spite of negative thoughts, in spite of failure, in spite of all of those things. I also would want to say to students with vision impairment that you have to be good at advocating for yourself. So self-advocacy skills very, very important. Know what you want. Ask for it. Also make sure that in asking for it, we do so with a lot of respect and a lot of understanding of others. Nothing is impossible to those who believe in God. And I have found that that philosophy has worked for me all the way. I exercise faith in God, and I would also want to commend that to persons with vision impairment, that they need to have a source that they're going to anchor themselves to. And in believing that nothing is impossible, I have been able to culture a very positive attitude to life, and that positive attitude has worked for me, and I am confident it will work for others.
Here's how we sign the alphabet.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sign with me?
It's the start of a new school term in this new year. Let's hear what the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information has in store for our students.
As we begin a new school term on January 4, 2021, we do so asking God's guidance that with the preparations we have made, all will result in a smooth start to this term. More schools across the island will resume face-to-face teaching and learning based on the assessments of both the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. All students and teachers are expected to utilize one or more of the 4 approaches to ensure that the education of our students continues despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Those approaches, you will recall, are 1. Online learning utilizing the Google Suite Learning Management System. Each student with the capability to access the virtual classroom should be utilizing this platform. Number 2, we will continue with our audiovisual approach in which lessons will still be on our TVs, cable networks, and radio. Number 3, we will also have the learning kit approach. All students should already be in possession of their textbooks and worksheets. The ministry will continue to distribute learning kits. Parents, if the learning kits are not getting to your children, please contact your schools. And number 4, this term, following on the pilot, a total of 129 schools have been approved for face-to-face teaching and learning. All schools have made preparations to start. Among the high schools approved to begin face-to-face, 3 are boarding schools. With all these different ways in which our children can receive formal education, no child in Jamaica of school age should be sitting idly around or on the road going to the corner shop or doing housework during school time, which is designated as 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday to Friday, starting January 4, 2021. Parents and guardians, if your children are not using one of these 4 ways, the online, the audiovisual, the learning kit, or face-to-face, they are in danger of falling way behind. Education is still compulsory, Attending school, whether virtual, remote, or face-to-face, is still a requirement. Let us work together to stop the learning loss. We ask all parents, guardians, community members, Jamaicans all, to be as supportive as you can of our students. Encourage them during this trying period. Looking forward, despite the pandemic, as an education sector and as a nation, we must now focus on preparing our children for their exit exams. CSEC, City and Guilds, CAPE, NCT VET, and the primary exit profile PEP exams. Grade 6 students at the primary level are scheduled to sit the first of two components of the PEP exam, the ability test, on February 23, 2021. The ministry has strategically scheduled the ability test first, as this test is not based on the children having been taught the body of subjects in the National Standards curriculum. The results of the ability test in February will give us a sense of the potential rather than just the academic performance of our children. It will alert us as to what our children are capable of doing so we can adequately prepare them for the performance task and the curriculum-based tests which are based on the National Standards curriculum and comes later in May 2021. The focus between now and February 23, 2021 will be on getting our students in a frame of mind to successfully sit the ability test, which comprises 40 multiple choice questions. In light of the ongoing challenges, we will expand our media campaign to keep everyone abreast of all interventions to ensure student success. Students will be provided with fully funded access to Edufocal and one-on-one educational service in preparation for PEP and other external exams. Additionally, a mobile student support initiative will be launched on January 18, 2021, to focus on the students who have not been consistently engaged in the last school term. We will be providing after-school classes to small groups of 5 for 2 hours twice per week using the schools, church halls, community centers, USF community access points, the Jamaica Library Service locations, and other temporary learning spaces. We will launch the Learning Kit Challenger and Learning Kit Motivator for those students who are performing below expectation. We will help our teachers to develop and utilize personalized lessons to support our students. Parents, Jamaicans all, we have a lot of ground to cover this term, but together, and with God's help, we can. Let us put hands and hearts together as we work for the good of our children. Thank you.
That's all the time we have left on this station. Be sure to join us tomorrow for another information-packed program. We are available at your convenience online. There's our website, our YouTube channel, our pages on all the major social media sites, and our mobile app that may be downloaded from your smartphone's app store. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I am Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.